Greetings, kindred spirits. I just want to thank you all for your messages and condolences. So for those of you that are linked up with me on FB, you already know that my mother passed recently. You know, she was actually taken into hospital on the last full moon, and she passed 3 days later on the 11th of April. So I just wanted to thank you all for your messages of condolences and prayers. You know, my family and I were truly grateful for all your kind words and support. You know, I wasn't actually sure if I would be able to focus or have the strength to do this podcast today. And today is the 21st of April. Because I was actually feeling my mother's energy is quite erratic at first, and you know, as she was transitioning. But then 2 days ago I was sitting in meditation, you know, and I was just drifting actually, because sometimes I don't do guided meditations. I just empty my mind and just go wherever it wants to take me. And it was in that meditation my mother came forward and she rubbed her nose on my nose. And the reason why I'm laughing is because it's something we used to do when I was very, very young. And it was something, you know, it's something I'd actually forgotten about. You know, we used to call it the Eskimo kiss. And yeah, it was a really beautiful memory that she brought to me. And I don't know, since that I've kind of found peace. And I think peace in the knowledge that she's now at peace. So yeah, it sort of like lifted my spirits, you know what I mean? But I was having a chat with my sister this morning, and we was talking about how many people have reached out and what a blessing it is to know so many beautiful people out there, you know, and so many of you have said, oh, you know, you wish you could do more, and, you know, due to all this lockdown situation, obviously, you know, our friends can't come round to comfort us, and, you know, it's been a very kind of like strange time actually, more so than anything. We just want you to know that those words have been very, very powerful, and you know, it's truly been an honour to receive them, so thank you so much. So I'm going to get into the energy update, and I'll start with the new moon, or the moon's energy, as I usually do. So the new moon will begin in Aries in the true lifetime sky on the 23rd of April at 3:25 in the GMT time zone, at 12:25 in the AEDT time zone, and on the 22nd of April at 22:25 in the EDT time zone. And we've got several energy shifts coming up, you know, leading up to the full moon on the 7th of May. But first of all, our new moon will be at 4 degrees and will be coming into a conjunction with Uranus, who's currently at 7 degrees in Aries, you know, which does suggest an air of unpredictability. So the moon in Aries is already a restless and impulsive energy, and it could be under the current climate that there is an urge to break free from restrictions, you know, for so many of us. You know, but on a positive note, the sun, when the sun comes into conjunction with Uranus, you know, it will be a good aspect, you know, especially for the scientific industry, especially in the realm of metaphysics. So there could be a lot of information coming in over the next few weeks that will need some processing. And I would emphasize that word, whatever comes in throughout the rest of this month, or even going into May, please process the information first. Don't jump on bandwagons or jump to conclusions, or be over impulsive. Because I do feel that with our new moon beginning at 4 degrees and Uranus close by at 7 degrees, it does suggest that we can find a more solid footing when it comes to our spiritual awareness or our higher consciousness. The only thing I would say to watch out for, as I said, is jumping on bandwagons or forming assumptions before thinking them through, since our Sun, Moon and Uranus will all be in square to Jupiter, Pluto and the goddess Pallas. Things may come to light that further upset the apple cart, but it will be our response to certain events that will dictate our emotional, mental and spiritual health. So watch out for broken promises or taking the information coming in as gospel. And I did mention in my last podcast about a passage in the Bible, which is Acts 8. And I'm not going to go into that here because, I said it in my last podcast. So for those of you that haven't heard that, then please do go back and listen to that podcast if it's of interest to you. But what I do want to say is that there are certain aspects that are relevant to that passage in the Bible, regarding false prophets or false information that can lead us into thinking that we are safe when that may not be the case at all. And I just feel this is like in our social environments, you know what I mean? And like I said, anything that comes to light this time must be processed wisely, and we do have an opportunity to do that, as long as we are in a place of unconditional love and acceptance. So for those who are battling with their ego or their self-pride or are in fear, then I would suggest that you get stuck into an activity to burn off any excess energy, because the energies are going to be pretty high and erratic, but also with a very deep element. So I know there's a lot of people out there losing loved ones, and that's causing a lot of pain and a lot of sorrow, and it's really hard to get into that place of acceptance if it's not something you're used to, and it's loss is loss at the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's a painful process. But apart from that, I do feel that globally there may also be a little bit of chaos when it comes to the economy and businesses. So things are going to be a bit intense. But like I said, if we're in that place of embracing change, then we can just go with the flow with faith that things are going in the direction that they are meant to. But as for global politics or, social environments, I do feel it's a case of a little bit more chaos to come. And I don't necessarily feel it's just with, the victims of this CV. I also feel it's to do with the realisation that people are coming to that things won't be the same again. So we're all gonna need to tap into this survival energy of finding a place to, find a solid ground within our own space, within our own soul. We also have a kite this new moon, and that will be in effect for a day or two. And kites do portray highs and lows anyway, sometimes in extreme. But this particular kite does show that there will be some great opportunities for us to bring the balance we need into our lives and into our relationships. The Black Moon Lilith's energy is still strong, And she will be sitting right at the head of this kite aspect, in opposition to the goddess Juno of domestic harmony and commitments. Now, a lot of people consider the Black Moon Lilith's energy to be dark and demonic, but actually it's not. The Black Moon Lilith in ancient history, she actually is Nephis, the twin sister of Isis, and Inanna in Sumerian history. She did some silly things, and just like we do today, and that energy has been horribly abused. Do you know what I mean? So what I see with the Black Moon Lilith is she makes us look at our shadow, and that's for us to evolve into a more higher consciousness, into a higher awareness. She is a part of the House of Ophiuchus. She is part of the Trinity. But again, I'm going to get into that in my podcast that I'm going to do. And as you can see, it's just one distraction after another. But I know that I'll do it when the time is right. But I'm so looking forward to sharing all this information with you. And, I'm letting out little bits at a time because, I'm bursting to tell you all. But, that will come soon, I'm sure. So, as I said, she sits at the head of the grand aspect of the kite. And this is all about us letting go of traditional values and embracing a more independent approach in how we view our expectations when it comes to home, family, and our intimate relationships. This grand aspect is directing us into becoming more inspirational and creative in our way of thinking and how we express ourselves. It's also bringing in opportunities for us to bring balance between the masculine and the feminine energies, between the shadow and the light. And again, it's showing that much spiritual awareness can be had as long as we can let go of our expectations when it comes to our traditional values. So overall, I feel this new moon is all about us transitioning into a completely new way of seeing things. But that energy is going to go on for a few years. But I just feel this is another shift, just like we had quite a shift at the full moon. I do feel the full moon on the 7th of May, I feel there's some respite there. So, please don't feel these energies are going to go on forever. But, for the rest of this month, it is pretty intense, pretty high energy, and leading up to the full moon. So we have Pluto also going into retrograde on the 25th of April. So that's another little shift going on. And it's not actually a big shift because he doesn't actually move as such, but he becomes very still. And when the outer planets go into retrograde, more so than the faster moving ones like Mercury, Mars and Venus, even though they are about self-reflection, the outer planets are kind of go a little bit deeper when it comes to self-reflection. So he will start his yearly retrograde on the 25th of April at 28 degrees in Sagittarius. And again, in this time of great reflection, it will be about our spiritual awareness and self-truth. It's like this is a time where the rose-tinted glasses come off, and, Pluto did retrograde in Sagittarius last year. And he was actually in a conjunction with Saturn then, although he wasn't in an exact conjunction. But we did see the signs last year of what this year was going to be all about, or the next few years anyway. So also, although in separation, Pluto is still in conjunction with Jupiter. And that does help us to use the current energies constructively, especially in this time of crisis. However, Jupiter is in quincunx to the North Node. So Many may still be finding it hard to come to terms with the current events that are going on and certain revelations that are coming to light. And also the sun will come into an exact conjunction with Uranus on this day, as I was saying at the new moon, when it comes to the scientific industry and, more so on the metaphysical lines of science, that this energy was going to be quite dominant, with new information and to process that information. So, it will be on the 25th of April, 2 days after the new moon, that conjunction will happen on the same day that Pluto will go retrograde. And again, we must work on keeping ourselves grounded, realistic, and, not allow our egos to get the better of us or our fears. And I refer to the ego because to me, ego and fear are the same thing. So if I talk about the ego, no, I'm talking about fear. And if I'm talking about fear, then I'm talking about the ego. So, some of us may allow our fear or our ego to get the better of us. But there's a wonderful meditation for that listed below that Steve Nobel actually posted over a week ago. I haven't actually done that yet, but I'm going to. And even the blue ray one he posted that I posted up on the full moon, I mean, that's another one to do again, if you wish, So some of you may even have to bite your tongue when it comes to communication, and maybe even me myself, because I've been feeling a little bit irritable today. So I can feel the new moon's energies coming in already. So I would say a lot of people are going to feel very irritable, probably more so than what they have done over the last, say, month or so. So I would just say hold that thought and, just try and hold it down and exert that energy into some form of exercise or meditation, whatever works for you. So on the 27th of April, Mercury will enter into Aries and the goddess Pallas will enter into Capricorn. So they'll both be at 0 degrees. And, as Mercury enters into Aries on the 27th, he will be coming into conjunction to the Black Moon Lilith and in square to Saturn and the goddess Pallas, who will just have entered into Capricorn. So this shift in energy, it's going to cause a lot of difference of opinion or, it's more than likely to be debates going on or points of views, or there's an energy of narrow-mindedness with this that I just want to warn you about, So I would say like many debates are going to be had on this day. There's also a strong possibility of excessive worry. If we are still holding on to the past and how we think things should be, or, holding on to the past because we don't really want to let it go. I mean, some of us was happy with the way we were living our lives. And all that is actually changing now. So, Capricorn can often be a stuck energy. Saturn's just moved into Capricorn. He's around 2 degrees now. And the goddess Pallas will be at 0 degrees. And the goddess Pallas is all about seeing patterns in life and seeing the bigger picture. And, she's also about justice and balance. And then we've got the Black Moon Lilith in Aries in conjunction to Mercury. And sometimes we can speak before we think with that aspect. So, it's a very diverse energy. So we will all be affected differently again, depending on where we're at on our path. So, again, I just feel like some of us could be in fear and worry. And I just feel there's been a lot of disputes brewing anyway from the new moon's energy. And we are being asked again on this occasion to be responsible for ourselves, be responsible for our own actions, be responsible for what we say and how we say it, and not get into the blame game, because opinions and debates are likely to get heated due to irritability. And also, our governments are likely to be overwhelmed and not able to live up to their promises, or things are just not moving fast enough, which is likely to cause a lot of unrest as well. Actually this could also be occurring at the new moon, but when Mercury enters Aries, I just feel like, if we've been holding it down, this will be the time it will start erupting. But again, we've got to be in a place of understanding and logical thinking, because, when we think logically, we come up with solutions, and I just feel that we're able to do this. And thank goodness we've got the internet, so it's not like we're all completely isolated. We can go online, chat to people, we can get differences of opinions, but we shouldn't enforce our opinion. But I do feel this is a time for communities to come together, because I just feel like charitable organisations or community spirit's going to be needed in helping those that are really vulnerable at this time, that, where the governments can't act quickly enough. But again, we must also be aware of those who don't mind taking advantage and manipulating situations for their own gain, without any fault for anybody else. So be careful, be wise, but try and be productive. And if you're feeling irritable or ratty, just go and do a workout, or do a bit of yoga, a bit of meditation, like I said, whatever works for you. And I would say the 27th of April and the 1st of May, they're going to be the days where the energy is going to be even more so intense than at the new moon. Especially as the black moon Lilith will come into conjunction with both Mercury and Uranus. So the North Node is going to enter into Taurus on the 4th of May. And just to remind you all, this is the True Lifetime Sky 13 Star Sign Astrology. So this will help us to slowly adapt to the changes occurring on a collective and global level, although this energy won't kick in for, quite some time. And with the North Node in Taurus, although initially it will be like a ball in a china shop, the energy of that, it will be urging us to trust the process of life. So it's going to be through, this erratic energy that will teach us about trusting the process of life over the next year or two. It's going to be up and down, but many of us will come into this energy in waves. So when I say a year or two, don't think that, you're never going to get there, or you can't do it over 2 years, because it could just kick in tomorrow. It really does depend on us as individuals and where we're at, The only thing is, the aspects to the North Node on this day does suggest that we may have to initially fake it to make it. And the one good thing is that this energy also provides us with an ability to put on that brave face, regardless of any hardships we may be facing in our lives. But that doesn't mean to say we can't open up if we need to, but to the right person or to the right people, you know what I mean? This also does mean that we can be hoodwinked by those who don't use this energy for the highest and best. So again, be cautious, don't be impulsive. And we all must remember that, karma is still at play here. I feel that relationships are going to be under extreme pressure throughout the rest of this month, and I'm talking about domestic relationships. And it is a time where we will truly see who is who in the long run, and maybe it is time for many to open their eyes to, the true meaning of life, love and happiness. So soul unions are still coming into alignment. And it would be best if we just go with the flow and let go of those things that we are struggling to hold on to. You know, if you're in a relationship and you're struggling to hold on to it, then you have to ask yourself, why is it such a struggle? You know? So I would say faith is definitely the key word this year. You know, not faith in man-made structures or religions or traditional values or expectations of how things should go, you know, due to our upbringing or our religious values. But faith in ourselves, in our own intuition, and in the process of life. And I know that's not an easy thing to do if you're not in that place, but it's something that we're all going to have to get used to and familiar with and grounded in. And I know that most of us are. You know, it is a worrying time, especially for those of you that, you know, have got your own businesses. It's a hard time for many at the moment. But you mustn't give up. You know, we must keep going and use our wisdom. Peace and much love.